after a surprisingly good night 1, it's off to night 2 with SummerSlam. I was more excited for night 2, clearly. Most of you were, definitely, because the big matches around there, the big title matches, a lot of the stipulation matches, there was a lot here with night 2 to the point where you almost question why didn't night 1 get some of it, because it was very unbalanced. The event as a whole, night 1 and night 2, they're very unbalanced, and it seemed to affect night 1 a bit because it didn't have that variety. But with that said, let's get into SummerSlam Night 2. The first match on the show is for the Women's World Championship. Naomi defends the gold against Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. Naomi had a great entrance with her father playing the guitar. She had the crowd reaction here, and this was an exciting one. Heading into it, Naomi had cashed in the briefcase after an awesome, epic match between Rhea Ripley and Io Sky, so there was a lot of excitement for this one, seeing as they added her to the equation. Naomi was vicious early on and showed herself to be an opportunist. The champion was dominating with ease, and it felt like whatever the two women were throwing at her, she'd find a way out and make a mockery of them. That momentum clearly wasn't going to last the entire time, and once they took care of her, it was back to the one-on-one. These two had an absolute classic, so when the fans realized they were getting that again, there was a lot of excitement in the air. The match picked up from here, and they were throwing out the spots and sequences. WrestleMania 41 sequence here, but this time Naomi had it scouted. Naomi helped offer aggression here. She made the match hard-hitting, very vicious and aggressive, but the fans were really into it. The big moves were coming. Rhea Ripley was going crazy here, jumping around, doing things with Venom, and just when she had Io Sky down for the count with a super riptide, Naomi comes in and steals the win. Good match. Honestly, I do think it could have gone down a little bit differently, have them go a little bit longer. I think they could have reached another level here, but it was never going to top the WrestleMania 41 match, the Bianca Belair one. Still, this was a good opener, solid stuff. And not even solid, it was great. It's just I feel like they needed a little more time to make it much more memorable than it was, because next to WrestleMania 41, this one isn't even close. But once again, Rhea Ripley falls short like she's 2007 Batista. In honor of the first TLC match, WWE decided to go about it once again, but with the new talent. The Street Profits, DIY, Motor City Machine Guns, Fraxium, Andrade, and Rey Fenix, and the champions, the Y6, all facing off for the WWE Tag Team Championships. Honestly, this might be overkill, especially for a TLC match, but this is what I wrote initially before changing my mind. Gacy and Loomis won the titles recently from the Street Profits. The duo didn't hold them for too long, and barring Fraxium and the Phoenix teams, all of them had held the gold before. This one had one thing going for it, the fact that it can't get boring. It's almost impossible. The Y6 were the biggest enemies in this match and the guys to watch out for. Great spot here with them teasing Phoenix for winning it all. Montez Ford showed that insane athleticism here. He just spawned from out of nowhere for those guys on the outside. MCMG follow up, and at this point I was thinking maybe it wasn't so bad that there was 6 teams. Then they remembered the tables and these guys started flying. Then we saw a damn Spanish fly through a table, and at this point you're like, how are they gonna top that? The 3 women got involved, and when you see Candice on top of a ladder, it's bound to end badly. And this spot was mad. It's something she'd take on the indie circuit. That's how bad it looked. It felt like she landed on her knee at one point, which is a horrible feeling, especially when falling off a ladder. Then there was this sequence here after Rowan went through a table where you saw these guys hanging off the belts, hitting springboards. They just kept on following up. But then the Y6 closed shop, and we can't lie about this one. A very ridiculous TLC match. I'm glad that WWE doesn't do them as often as they used to, because this match concept was really good in the past. Bringing it back here was a good decision to add to this card, and everyone had their moment. Fraxium, Andrade and Phoenix with the sunset flip on Uncle Howdy. The Street Profits going insane. What a match. These guys went out there, they just went all out, and it's definitely going to be one of the most memorable matches in the entire show. Becky Lynch gives Lyra Valkyria one last chance at the Women's Intercontinental Championship. No disqualification, no count out. Becky has some new entrance music. This story has been about Becky Lynch refusing to acknowledge that there's a new era in the WWE, and in some ways, this is her second midlife crisis. I don't even say in some ways, it's entirely that. The match took a different direction when compared to the previous ones. I really enjoyed the others, whether it's Money in the Bank or the Triple Threat. The match for the most part was Becky dominating and destroying Valkyria. It was a torturous affair for the challenger. There was very little time for Lyra on offense, it was mostly Becky. She turned into a 2009 Randy Orton at one point, trying to do the John Cena spot here, and even when Lyra fought back, her hands were tied. The zip tie arc was interesting because she practically had to go on a John Cena journey to turn things around. It wasn't as satisfying, of course, because, she didn't make a complete comeback afterwards, and these two had a lot of time to get their story across. And while it wasn't my favorite bed over theirs, there was something to enjoy here. Awkward moments, however. The New Jersey crowd, though, didn't completely see it that way. There was this horrible part where Lyra found herself loose only to tie herself up. It was a very awkward moment that I kind of wish the camera didn't show, but, mistakes happen. One thing they did well was showing how dark Becky had gotten in the last few months. Everyone looked up to her and she thanked them by pissing on them. Bayley made her way out there and almost fell into temptation but ended up doing the right thing. This leads to Lyra making a sudden comeback. Big mistake from Bayley and Becky retains. Not a bad match. I've seen others like it way more than me. With the story they were telling, I expected Lyra to win. That doesn't ruin the match, of course, but it would have been more satisfying. Now, this match had some good parts, but the issue I have with it is that it felt like it wasn't even close to the previous matches that Lyra and Becky had. It just wasn't at all. And the reason why is because there was awkward moments or some weird spots, and I feel like they deviated too far away from what made this feud good. I think they could have just kept it strictly wrestling. Becky could cheat to win, of course, as usual, but I didn't like the fact that they did the street fight. There was some good parts of it, but ultimately as a match, I didn't like it that much. Solo Sikoa defends the United States Championship against Jacob Fatu inside a steel cage. This story is still going on. The Bloodline story has spawned several spin-offs since WrestleMania 40 and I can't help but laugh at it. With that said, this cage match might as well have happened on SmackDown. The reason why is because the match wasn't that special. There's not much distinctive about it. The Bloodline interference was always going to happen. JC Mateo, Tala Tonga, but they also made Jacob Fatu look good by having him snap the handcuffs and go 3v1. The numbers got to him and Solo ended up retaining. Basic match, it was such a simple one, and the post-match was way better with Jacob Fatu hitting a big moonsault off the cage. Now that we talked about this match quick, let's just say that this is one of the most atrocious steel cage matches I've ever seen. Triple H decided to waste our time by putting this damn thing on the card. Why the hell did he put this on the card if nothing of note happened? We saw a freaking steel cage match that belongs on a fucking pre-show, not even SmackDown. It was horrible. And this is coming from someone who actually liked Solo and Jacob Fatu's match last month at Night of Champions. I'm pretty sure some of you guys had side eyes when you heard that. I like that match. I like that match. It's way better than this. It looks like a fucking WrestleMania main event next to this one. Horrible steel cage match. AJ Styles challenges for Dominic Mysterio's Intercontinental Championship. Okay, this is a fun little story with AJ Styles treating Dominic like a moron. Dom on the other side has also been messing around with AEW, AAA, AAA. He's doing a lot recently and seems to be the best he's been. Styles made a mockery out of Dominic, coming out to his father's attire and lowrider. Even had his son bleach his hair just like Dom did back in SummerSlam in 2005. The match wasn't bad at all, but you imagine it to be something you see on Raw. It felt like they were holding back a little, honestly. I love this Eddie moment. Both guys were smart enough to not fall for the bait. Dom proved to be like his real father and cheated to win the match. Solid action, I enjoyed it. It was like an Eddie Guerrero tribute match. The only issue is that I wish we got to see more. I know for a fact that if this opened the show, then it would have been an even better match. Dom looked super smart, honoring Eddie by loosening the boot early on, only to catch AJ off guard to retain that title. He's off to making more enemies in AAA and WWE once again. And the main event, John Cena defends the undisputed WWE Championship against Cody Rhodes in a street fight. This was the most obvious rematch. We could see it coming from miles away, but it's about the journey there, and to be honest, it was a bit rough. John Cena's heel turn went over like a poked balloon. The issues with the run is continuity and promising this grandiose run, but instead, he's grumpy and angry. The run had a lot of issues even without The Rock, because Triple H had more than enough time to create something without the gray one. And then there's the Travis Scott thing. It's all weird. Cena's promo on SmackDown almost makes it seem like he never turned heel, and looking at the way that this run went, it might be the best choice. Cody Rhodes had more boos here than he did at WrestleMania, which is worth mentioning. Man, John Cena actually got me smiling. He's actually retiring. Maybe we can run it back to WrestleMania. Good, what? Never mind. This is how it should have started at WrestleMania. Cena quickly went at it. Tyrese Halliburton's crutch was used here, and I really enjoyed the action early on. The stipulation really brought out something in John Cena. Well, actually, it was the whole face turn itself, as I learned later on. Rhodes was one step ahead of Cena throughout this one, and it almost felt like he underestimated Cena's resiliency. He hit a brutal pile driver, which was the same move used by Kevin Owens to take out his friend Randy Orton. Cena was back in 2017 with Code Red, and so was I. It's so upsetting that we didn't see this version of Cena. I don't care that his heel run didn't deliver, but it's bad that we were deprived of this version of him. Someone who knows his identity and actually believes in what he says. The performance was so good. They had me wanting Cena to beat Cody clean. I didn't think about the effects of it. I didn't care. I was like, maybe they should just have him win. They were brawling all over the place, hitting the big moves, and they made their way to the stage where Cena was aura farming like crazy. Look at this image. This guy spawned like the final boss with Cody in place of the AA, and it was an awesome visual. Then the follow-up was Cena tossing him and connecting with a brutal AA was good. Back in the ring was Act 3. They teased the Cody heel turn like crazy. Rhodes was doing everything he could to stop Cena, but the man was almost indestructible. It was a spectacle, and for some moments, I actually thought this was WrestleMania. It was big time and amazing. Cena was revitalized and like his old self. And at this point, I don't care. They could abandon that heel turn and treat it like it's Chris Benoit. Who gives a damn? Rhodes used the turnbuckle, and with every shot, his mercy for Cena was growing, but it was obviously going to come at the cost of the most coveted prize, so naturally, he'd be torn. And this almost cost him the match. The challenger had 3 cross crossroads, it's over. But this is Super Cena. He's not going down. Cena almost had the fucker down. He had a multitude of AAs. He was throwing and flipping him on many occasions, but still not enough. He got ahead of himself, and this was enough for Rhodes to do a salute. And I'm not gonna lie, it was corny as hell, but I can't lie and say I didn't feel a way about it. It just takes you back to prime John Cena, Chain Gang Soldier, the Marine. This guy was my childhood. I remember seeing him in battles against Edge, Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 23, booed like crazy in the Hammerstein Ballroom. I broke that ECW One Night Stand 2006 DVD from watching it so many times back in that summer. His journey to earn that respect and admiration from the fans. Once in a lifetime, for the first time in this run, I actually realized the magnitude of the situation. John Cena was actually retiring. Rhodes hit Crossroads and defeated John Cena. What a match. A definitive classic in WWE's history, and one that comes off as an actual surprise, seeing as Cena and Rhodes didn't have the best match at WrestleMania. I didn't hate WrestleMania as much as others, but it really was a mess. Here, Cena was legitimately good. Travis Scott was a non-factor, not even in the stadium. He was too busy getting bitched by clips, but it was almost the perfect retirement for Cena. At times, I forgot that this wasn't his last match and that there's still 4 more months of his run. Cody Rhodes stepped it up here big time to ensure that his moment was memorable, and if these guys had DVDs like they used to back in the day, this match would be featured on disc 3. That's how good it was. There was shocking moments, times where I thought Cena would actually win the damn thing and shock the world, and it was so well put together that it makes me hate this heel run even more, because hidden in the shadows was a great wrestler who doesn't need to resort to traditional heat and doing the whole "you get nothing" nonsense. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? We got John Cena last year and they wasted it on Travis Scott and a non-Rock run. Like, Rock wasn't around. And just to rant on that bit, they always talk about how it's Rock's fault and whatnot, but at the end of the day, there had to come a point where Triple H realized The Rock wasn't around, right? Like, if Cena brought it more in ring as a heel, I would have liked the run more, even with the typical marketing and silliness that came with his run. They shook hands, they had a great moment, and it really felt like the end of John Cena. We got 4 months left, but it really felt like the beginning of the end. Then we heard one of the most shocking entrance songs you'll hear in 2025 WWE with Brock Lesnar coming out. You hear that and you hear this crazy ass reaction. I'm like, what the hell? They actually brought this guy back? Side note, I knew Brock Lesnar would be back because at the end of the day, they care about money, bottom line, all that stuff, right? But it was a bit shocking because they didn't even have any explanation about his involvement in a Vince McMahon lawsuit. They could talk hypothetically, Lesnar didn't know much about it or whatever like that, but it really did shock me that they allowed for him to come back without explaining anything. Maybe they will afterwards, but he's back. It was shocking, but this is TKO. They don't care. Even if Lesnar straight up was guilty, they would have brought him back. You know, his situation is more murkier and blurry than Vince McMahon's, but he's still in that lawsuit, so obviously people are going to ask questions, including me. But yeah, Brock is back. I always knew he was going to come back because at the end of the day, all they care about is the clips and the attention. And again, I just want to say this. Brock Lesnar is one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, but if he has involvement in the lawsuit and all that, it's better off to keep him away from TV. But yeah, Brock's back. They took out John Cena in the main event, and it seems like they're going to run it back. Now, on a side note, this also makes me believe, for some reason, this is like a bit of a crazy take. Crazy. It's not a normal one. It kind of makes me believe that John Cena is going to close his career with a match against The Rock. I don't know why. I just got that belief that Rock's going to find some time at the end of the year to have a match with John Cena. It sounds outrageous, but that's what I believe. Alright, that's SummerSlam. Much better than Night 1. They could have added some of these matches to Night 1 and mixed it up, but they didn't, and they had to do this 2-night nonsense thing, which was dumb in the first place, but they care about money. You know, TKO, cha-ching, all that. TLC was crazy. Opener was great. The Intercontinental Championship match wasn't a favorite of mine. The Steel Cage match was atrocious. IC title match good, and the main event was the best match from the entire show from Night 1 and from Night 2. So yeah. Alright, what you guys think of SummerSlam Night 2? Please comment down below. That's the first video. Make sure you hit the frog splash on the like button and perhaps the AA on the subscribe button. Peace. I'm out.